This one is called Rich in Love. If you subscribe and comment and like and do all that goody chit chat, you'll get more of our videos. In Patio do Alferez, 60 miles from Rio de Janeiro, the Trancoso family has a successful tomato company. Now, one specific afternoon when the owner Teodoro is giving some potential investors a tour of the place, he finds a couple getting a little bit busy in a sauce fountain that's tomato based. This started about a month ago for them. Teodoro's son, Teto, is starting another day by waking up next to a woman he only met last night. He doesn't even remember her name and needs to check her ID to see what her name is, Anna. Teto is a spoiled rich boy that hasn't worked a day in his life and spent all his time partying and picking up girls. His best friend is his employee, Igor, who is always the one that has to guide Teto's wins out in the morning. Teodoro is tired of Teto's being a waste of space and promises to talk with him later about his future. Teto isn't nervous and asks Igor to skip class to spend the afternoon with them. Betting on some money to convince him, after a horse race they go out to try the new car Teto wants for his birthday. Meanwhile, in Rio de Janeiro, Paula and her roommates get ready to work. They're actually medical students that are very dedicated and they're doing their internships, and Paula's working hard for a residency. Her friend thinks she's already won because Dr. Victor keeps flirting with her in a very inappropriate way in the workplace. But Paula's very uncomfortable with getting something because of her looks instead of her skills. You go, girl. After work, the two girls get on a bus to attend to the tomato festival. On the way there, they see Teto and Igor drive at a crazy speed, and they call them playboy losers. The boys are also stopped by the police. However, as soon as they see it's Teodoro's son that is driving, they're allowed to go without a ticket. Later, Teto meets with his dad and they have that talk. Teodoro refuses to buy the car, explaining he wants Teto to earn it, so his gift to him will be a job at the company. He introduces Teto to Monique, one of the junior executives of the company. She'll be the one showing Teto the ropes, but the tour doesn't really go that well. Teto doesn't hear one word of what Monique says, even when she shares her story about making her way up slowly with hard work. Instead, Teto leaves to get ready for the tomato festival. As the night comes and the festival is in full swing, baby, Igor arrives and tries to enter the VIP section, but his name isn't really on the list. Teto sees him and lets him in, but Igor is a bit hurt that his friend forgot to add him. Teto has also invited Igor's crush from school. Not understanding that Igor is shy, to make matters worse, the girl doesn't even pay attention to Igor. She just concentrates on Teto and then Teto, and even kisses Teto. Hurt. Igor tries to leave, so Teto goes to apologize and explain, listen man, that wasn't really the plan. Igor has to explain to Teto that women come easy to him because of his status, and he'll never know if any interest in him is real or not. To prove him wrong, Teto tells him he didn't put Igor's name on the list because he's family, not a random guest. And then he proceeds to take off his expensive jacket and hide his necklace to join the normal crowd. At that moment, the tomato fight starts. Oh buddy, which Paula and her friends are staying away from because they consider it as a waste of food. Teto, however, ends up joining the fight and throws a tomato at Paula, getting her angry. However, she's distracted when she notices three men harassing her friends. Wanting to help, Teto defends them and gets his nose broken. But the men run away when they realize who he is. The girls take Teto to a quiet place and Paula fixes his nose while thanking Teto for joining the fight. Her friends don't really care about Teto though, they're here as a bachelor party, so they leave Paula with him to help him wash the blood. Teto takes Paula through the greenhouse to find tap water and decides to lie, saying he lives there because his dad is one of the farm employees, but he'd like to go study in Rio de Janeiro. Then Teto asks Paula out and even tries to kiss her, but Paula turns him down and leaves. The next morning, Teodoro shocks Teto with the car he wanted, and Teto promises he'll work to earn it. Afterward, Teto walks with Igor to share a plan he has in mind. He wants to go out to Rio to find Paula, who he considers special because she's the first girl that has turned him down. To win her over, Teto wants to enter the company's trainee program under Igor's name, so he can earn the job honestly. To convince Igor to enter to using his name, Teto offers a deal. There's only one spot available at the company, so whoever wins it gets to keep the new car. The boys, they go on to Rio and stay at the apartment Teodoro usually uses when he comes for the city for his business. Teto remembers Paula's friends talking about a wedding, so that night he sneaks into a party, or the party. Once inside, he switches clothes with one of the janitors and pretends to be working there. Surprisingly, he bumps into Anna, who was there because his cousin is the one getting married. But Teto quickly makes up a reason to leave her behind. His goal is to follow Paula. He gets to strike up a conversation as soon as he finds her alone. Teto lies again, saying he has left everyone behind to follow his dream. Impressive Paula with his bravery. At that point, Victor interrupts them and tries to get Paula away from a janitor. So Paula gets him to stop bothering her by kissing Teto. The pair leaves to walk away on the beach, where Teto gets Paula's pity by saying this is the first time he sees the ocean because his family was too poor to even travel. After also telling her about the trainee program he's joining because he thinks hard work is important, Teto tries to kiss Paula again, but she turns him down once more. The next morning, Igor and Teto start their first day as interns. They come across Monique and learn she's been fired, so she leaves in a horrible mood. Next, they meet Celio, the marketing director, who immediately shows a preference for Igor when he introduces himself as Teto. The one in charge of the intern team is Alana, who Celio tells to keep a special eye on the boss's son. She wastes no time in sending Teto to make coffee since that is his first time there. The final result has a horrible taste. His next task is to print some documents for a presentation, but he jams the printer instead. Meanwhile, Igor remakes Alana's coffee, impressing her with his knowledge of basic chores, since Alana also thinks he's famous spoiled Teto. The actual Teto hears him talk and decides he needs to be more like Igor, so he calls Monique for help. He shows up in her humble neighborhood in his fancy car, and Monique has to save him from the neighbor's curiosity. Teto is shocked to see the tiny apartment Monique lives in with her sick sister and her sick nephew. He promises to behave. He asks Monique to teach him all he needs to know about hard work so he can get the position through effort instead of a privilege. The problem is that Teto can't pay her because his dad is making him earn his money. So Monique turns him down because she needs a real job that helps her pay for a doctor of her sister. Hearing this, Teto goes to the hospital and picks up Paula. He brings her over to Monique so she can examine the sister. Then Paula calls the hospital to arrange some exams. Monique is very grateful, so she's willing to accept Teto's new offer. If he gets the job, he'll give her his car. Feeling good about having been of help, Paula also accepts Teto's invitation to go on a date. The next morning, Monique shows up early at Teto's apartment to teach him how essential it is not to oversleep. He learns how to use the printer and gets the documents ready for the presentation, but when Celio points out it's the wrong ones, Alana blames Teto and makes him shred it off. While Igor gets to stay at the meeting, Teto feels like he's being picked on, so Monique advises him to get an ally. Since the team's next task is to think of something cool for the incoming ad campaign, Teto impresses Celio by asking for some free samples so he can work on ideas at home. Monique also teaches Teto how to use the best places in the city for a cheap type of moment. But still, very nice day. Teto takes Paula dancing and impresses her with moves Monique taught him. Paula warms a little bit up to him and shares that her parents were always broke when they were married. So since they're divorced, her mother's only dated rich guys, which Paula thinks made her very dependent on them and not independent for herself. This leaves Teto thinking about his own dead mother, wondering if she ever felt free around Teodoro. Paula tells Teto that his mother would be happy of him and kisses him before asking him to go to his place. Teto panics, but he doesn't want to lose this chance, so he texts Igor to make him prepare things at home. Fortunately, Igor thinks of a plan quickly. He asks Francisco, the custodian, to lend him the place for the night, and he gets to sleep in Teto's luxurious bed. When the couple arrives at the building, Teto pretends Francisco is his uncle and tells Paula he's leaving with him until he finishes his training before taking her upstairs. Francisco's apartment is tiny and kinda ugly, but Paula doesn't really care, so they spend the night together. The next day at work, the interns must present their ideas for the ad campaign. Igor shows them a tomato mascot and Teto shares his design of a tomato sauce fountain. Alana instantly sides with this guy Igor, but Celio prefers Teto's fountain. As a compromise, Alana accepts to put up both boys as project heads, making them combine their ideas. Later in that evening, now we cut to Paula showing up at the company to pick up Teto. Alana finds her and warns her of Teto's reputation before taking her to the office, where Igor and Teto see them come and hide. When Alana comes looking for them, Igor tells her Paula is a crazy stalker, so Alana accepts to secretly help Igor through the emergency door. Once they're gone, Teto goes to Paula, and when he hears what Alana told her, he explains that Alana is just out to get him because she doesn't want him to get the job since he's protecting the president's son. Paula believes him and accepts to go back to his place again. Meanwhile, now we cut to the parking lot. Alana asks Igor to take her out as thanks for helping him. Since he can't pay for a date, he invites Alana to the apartment instead, where he impresses her by cooking for her. Alana thinks it's very sweet for a rich, spoiled kid to play the hard-working, shy card, so she ends up kissing him. The two of them spend the night together. Talk about sex. Paula and Teto are also having a good time, but they're interrupted when Paula gets a text from Monique asking for help because her sister is not doing well again. The pair take a taxi, but the driver refuses to enter Monique's neighborhood because it's dangerous. It's too crooked, so he leaves them nearby under the rain. Teto finds a lost horse and convinces Paula to ride it with her so they can reach Monique's place faster. It turns out her sister is having a seizure, so Paula helps her through it while Teto takes care of the kid. The baby won't stop crying, so Teto tries to prepare the only thing he knows, an egg. What a dummy. After some trouble, he makes a face on the plate with the scrambled egg, and the little food in his mouth is finally enough for the baby to be quiet. When Paula is done with her patient, she comes over and blows up a latex glove, then paints a face on it to give the baby as a toy. She and Teto end up bonding while babysitting together. Teto returns to his place to sleep a little before work. Since Francisco is in his bed, he goes to Igor's. Not noticing Alana under the covers, Alana only sees Teto's back and doesn't notice it isn't Igor. So she leaves the bed to make breakfast. Francisco wakes up then as well. Then Alana thinks he's Teodoro, so Francisco plays along. Igor finds Teto, who calls his friend out for cheating by sleeping with the boss, but Igor explains that this is what Teto has been doing all his life, so now he has to deal with being on the other side of it. Teto hides under the bed while Igor brings Alana to make her change, but instead Alana gets busy with him again. This ends up with Teto falling asleep under the bed and arriving late at work. So Alana scolds him for it and explains she's already put Igor in charge of the project as days pass. Now we cut to days passing by. Teto has to watch how Igor guides the team, and Paula still has to deal with Victor's advances at the hospital. To make things easier for her, Paula's friends slip a sedative into Victor's coffee. The girls are also organizing to celebrate their incoming graduation, and while visiting Teto at his place, Paula invites him to come. That afternoon, they bump into Teodoro, who Paula scolds for coming to the city to get in the way of his son's dream. Teto tells her it's okay, and after she leaves, he learns why Teodoro has come by. There's an important meeting with potential investors, my friends, and Teto cannot miss it. If he wants to take over the company someday, he gotta show up. It's on the same night that the celebration happens, so Teto accepts it with the condition that he gets to choose the restaurant. There's another issue though. Alana has heard about his meeting too and wants Igor to take her as his VIP. To please everyone in their lives, Teto comes up with a plan. He chooses a restaurant near the celebration so he can divide his time between his dad and his girlfriend. As for Igor, they pay some actors to pretend to be the investors, and Francisco plays the part of Teodoro once again. On the night of the meeting, Igor takes Alana and the actors to take to the opposite side of the restaurant where Teto is with his dad. Teto runs back and forth between the meeting and the celebration, making up excuses like needing to go to the restroom, washing his hands, and changing his clothes in between. During one of his moments with Paula, Teto accidentally grabs one of the glass the girls had slipped on with some pills into because it was supposed to be for Victor. When Teto returns to the meeting, the pills kick in and he makes a fool of himself, especially when he gets upset as he learns that Teodoro fired Monique to give that position to his son. The next time he goes to the celebration, he forgets to take off the suit and steals a guitar from Victor to sing a love song for Paula. He's so distracted that he accidentally walks on the fire and burns his leg. So after putting it off in the sea, he rushes back to the restaurant to swap clothes with Igor. At that moment, Anna arrives at the party and sees Teto run away. So when Paula says she's dating him, Anna tells her the truth at the restaurant. And now we cut to the restaurant and Teodoro walks into the restroom and finds Igor and Teto taking off their suits. He tells his son not to come back to the meeting, which upsets Teto. But Igor reminds him it's worse for him because he could get his family fired. Afterward, Teto goes to the celebration, but Paula is angry about the lie and breaks up with him right there and then. Teto tries to explain, but he passes out because of the pills, and as Paula leaves, she bumps into Victor, who tells her she's won the residency. However, Paula tells him he can keep it because she doesn't want to work with a creep and a weirdo, and finds Teto on the ground and takes him back to his apartment. Now, Igor's dinner with Alana ends well and she wants to spend the night together again. But since she thinks his dad is around at his place, they go somewhere else. The very next morning, my friends, the story goes back to the beginning of the movie, revealing the people Teodoro finds in the fountain are Alana and Igor. Teto wakes up next to Anna, but nothing happened between them. However, when Teodoro comes to see him, he thinks Teto is being irresponsible again and kicks him out of the apartment. Teto goes to Monique to ask for a place to stay, and Monique allows him to as long as he helps with the chores. While doing the laundry, Teto finds Paula's glove balloon and decides to talk to her again. He finds her by the bus stop and tries to explain himself, but Paula doesn't listen and tells him she's leaving for the Amazon for a physician volunteer program. Later, Teto doesn't want to go to the company ceremony, so Monique has to drag him there, but she ends up getting upset when she hears that this is to fill the spot they fired her from. Alana meets the real Teodoro, and when Celio announces Teto as the winner, both Teto and Igor stand up. The boys confesses everything, and after apologizing, Teto says nobody should have taken this job from Monique, who is the one that deserves it the most. Then Igor and Teto try to leave the building, but Monique and Alana follow them and stop them. Alana tells Igor she likes who he is, regardless of his economic situation, and they kiss while Monique asks for the car as compensation for being fired so Teto could have her job. Igor wants to give it to her, even if the car is his because he won the bet. So to avoid an argument, Teto offers an idea. They can sell the car and invest the money together, or keep it. Then we cut to a year later. The four of them have a successful business growing organic tomatoes. On Teto's birthday, he gets two surprising visits. Teodoro, who is finally happy of his son, and Paula, who is impressed at how much Teto has changed. After throwing a tomato at him for lying, Paula kisses Teto, accepting to give him a second chance. If you have received value on this video, I believe you know what to do. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for listening because this one took a long time. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for listening.